Noreen and welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to be making some dumplings, but they're different from regular old dumplings. These are cornmeal dumplings, and these are going to go on top of some leftover chili that I'm cooking on the stove right now. So let's go see how we do this. So we're going to make some cornbread dumplings, cornmeal dumplings, whatever you want to call them. But these are just going to be a little bit different spin on a traditional, like, baking powder biscuit dumpling, which is what I always put on my chicken dumplings. But today we're going to use cornmeal and all-purpose flour, and it's going to make a nice cornbread type dumpling that we're going to put on top of some simmering chili. So this is another way to do a leftover makeover and get a second life out of those chili leftovers. If you want to do a little bit more than just heat the chili up and serve it in a bowl. So what I have here is a cup each of cornmeal and all-purpose flour, and we're going to give that a stir. To that, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar, because cornbread in this house is sweet, because we from up north. And a tablespoon of baking powder and a teaspoon of baking soda. Get that mixed in there good. I have no salt going in here because I'm using salted butter. I have 6 tablespoons of salted butter. And we're going to get our pastry cutter, and we're going to cut that butter into the flour until it resembles coarse crumbs, just like you do when you're making biscuits. Okay, I've got the butter cut into the flour and the cornmeal mixture, and you see how it looks? It looks like coarse crumbs. If you give it a squeeze, it wants to stick together, but it's still a little bit loose. That's exactly how you want it. Now, we're going to start with a cup of buttermilk, and if we need a little more, then we'll add it. We're going to check for our consistency here. That may not actually be enough. I'm not sure. Just depends on the day. If it's a humid day, you may not need any more. It's perfect. A cup is perfect. You don't want it to be too loose because you don't want a batter, but you don't want it to be too stiff because you don't want a biscuit. You want it to be like drop biscuit dough. And that's exactly what we have here. Okay, that's perfect. We're going to move over to the stove and we're going to grab a scoop and we're going to pop these right in the chili. So we'll be right back. Okay, it is left overnight in the Lambert house, so I had some chili in the fridge and I had some leftover taco meat in the fridge, so I put them together, threw in a little tomato juice and a can of beans that I had sitting on the counter that need to get used up, and this is what we're having for dinner tonight. Now, I have this over a very, very low heat, but you do want your chili to be simmering, but you don't want it to scorch on the bottom either. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my scoop, and you don't have to use a scoop, you can just use a spoon, whatever works for you. And I'm going to cover the top of my chili here with these dumplings, and then everybody's going to get a dumpling, and truth be told, we're probably going to have leftovers of leftovers. But, you know,
put it in the parfait.
It's all good. No, no leftover parfaits, Malcolm. No leftover parfaits. Oh, God. That show, that episode, I couldn't even believe it. That just grossed me out so bad. For any of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Malcolm in the Middle was an episode where Lois, the mom, would take the leftovers from the week before and layer them in a casserole and heat them up and call it leftover parfait. So once a week they had leftover parfait. And I don't know if you've ever seen Malcolm in the Middle, but the young man is the one who addresses the camera directly. He says it finally happened. Last week's leftover parfait made it into this week's leftover parfait. So you want to think about you want to think about how disgusting that is. It's pretty gross, isn't it? Mike is back here just dying. Okay, so what you want to do now, you can see it's starting to simmer. You want this to come to a mild simmer because you want those dumplings to cook. We're going to put the lid on it. We're going to let those cook for about 15 to 20 minutes. I will let you know how long it took when we come back and they're done, and I'll let you see what that looks like. Our dumplings are finished cooking, and it takes about 20-25 minutes depending on how much of a simmer you have these on. You don't want the bottom to scorch, so that's really, really important. When you're cooking chili, that can tend to happen. So make sure you have it on a real low flame. Like mine goes from low to high, which was like 1 to 9. And mine was simmering between a 3 and a 4. So you want to make sure that it's at a steady simmer, but you also don't want it to scorch on the bottom. So we're going to serve up a bowl, and we'll be right back, and we'll fix your plate, and we'll show you what this looks like. Have it. There's our cornbread dumplings that we simmered over top of our leftover chili dinner, and you can do these super easy, super delicious. Now, you don't have to reserve these for chili. You can use this on top of a beef stew. You can put it on top of a big pot of simmered cabbage and potatoes. You know, that's real peasant food.
Ham and beans.
You could put it on ham and beans. That would be delicious. You know, you can do this on top of a bean soup, whatever you like. You don't have to reserve it just for chili. It's just another way to have a dumpling in your recipe box that isn't the same old, same old. Sometimes you want cornbread, but you don't want to make the cornbread, you know? This does slightly relieve the hot kitchen in the summertime if you're going to heat up the chili anyway. On top of the stove, throw some of these dumplings on top, and you have what you want. You have that taste of cornbread without having to go to all the trouble to throw it in the oven and wait for it to cook in there. So, I hope you try these cornbread dumplings, and I hope you love them. And until next time, I'll see ya. Thank you for joining me in my kitchen today. I hope you liked what you watched today, and I hope that you try it, and I hope that you love it. If you like what you saw, please consider hitting the thumbs up button and giving me a positive rating. And also, make sure that you hit the subscribe button if you're already not a subscriber, so that you don't miss out on any of the fun we have here in our kitchen every single day. I hope that you enjoyed it. I'm really glad that you're here. Thank you for stopping by. Don't forget to come by tomorrow. Until next time, happy eating!